Chapter 5. Maybe I need to show you. I read the words over and over again, trying to figure out what I'm looking at. Had Joan been having an affair? Was there another man? I can't see how. We were so happy. Or were we? Had I missed something? What I thought a happy marriage in fact a lie? I look at the box. Joan hadn't told me she was on medication. She hadn't told me about being married before. So there are already 2 lies I knew of. Now 3. But a lie about what? I read the whole note. There was a tone of desperation and longing mixed with vague hostility and threats. It was stalkerish. Was Joan being stalked? Had she become the target of a deranged person who had sent this? The letter, unsigned, the handwriting tight and precise, but I can't place it. One thing I am certain of, though, even 15 years later, she had never mentioned this to me at all. Why? Why had she kept this from me? Maybe it was just a one-off, I think. But the note refers to other cards and notes. This was the only one I have found. Are there more? A few moments later, I am looking at the login screen of Joan's laptop. Fortunately, Joan always valued ease of memory over security. I typed password 1 and her desktop comes up. Her background image is a picture of us, one from our honeymoon. She has photo editing and design programs for her design business, along with the standard word processing and spreadsheet software. There are also folders on the desktop related to the classes she taught at Meyer as an adjunct. The summer before her murder, she taught a still life class. Her design business was supposed to help pay the bills, but she really loved teaching. I click on her email icon and see the last opened email, the one I sent the day of her murder. I got the reservation. You want to meet me there? It was about dinner that night. There was another email right below it. The subject line catches my attention. Why won't you talk to me? The email address is artlover57@meyer.edu. Whoever sent the email was at the college. Was it a student? A colleague? Art lover? Art lover? Someone in the fine arts department? But who? I scrolled through her inbox. In the month before her death, there were about 50 emails from artlover57. I clicked on the first one. Did you like the flowers I sent you? Joan had responded, I told you, you need to leave me alone. I don't care if you're married. I love you. Can't you see that? I'm telling you, please stop this. I thought I made that very clear to you. What is clear to me is you don't know me very well. You don't know my heart. I'm going to show you. Then you'll see. You'll fall in love with me. You know I love Tom. There is no way that's going to happen. We'll see. That was the last of that thread. There were dozens of others after that, none of which Joan had opened, except for one with an attachment. Why can't you be this happy with me? It reads, why don't you smile that way at me? I want you to smile that way at me. I click on the attachment. It's a photo taken at some distance of Joan and me. We were walking across the commons at Meyer. I must have said something funny because her head is thrown back and she is laughing. The date of the email is a week before her murder. None of the other emails, up to 3 or 4 per day, were opened. One says, you're not answering my calls. Why? Please talk to me. Another one says, I can't believe you're ignoring me for him. If he wasn't around, you'd have time for me. Maybe I need to do something about that. What do you think? The next one sent 10 minutes later. I'm sorry. Please don't be mad. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just get so desperate. I love you so much. I need you so much. Please, please, just talk to me. The emails alternate back and forth between pitiful pleading for her attentions and veiled threats, but not against Joan. All his threats were against me, and Joan had just ignored the emails, even the one with the photo of us. She never told me about them, and I can't figure out why. Had she told anyone, or did she just think they were something she could ignore, and whoever it was would go away, or was just saying things? Then two thoughts burst into my mind. What if Joan's murder wasn't random? What if he meant to kill me? I stand up and start pacing. I often pace when I'm trying to figure things out. What do I have? I have a letter from an unknown man, one Joan had not told me about, that was vaguely threatening to me and definitely showed an obsession with her. I have unsigned emails, probably from the same person. I pick up the letter again and study it closely. There was no clue who wrote it. I look at the prescription bottles again and her marriage license. Joan hadn't told me about any of it. What else hadn't Joan told me about? As I pace, I realize I don't know a lot about Joan's past. I know her mom, of course. I know her father had died when she was in her early teens, but she never told me how. I knew she entered Meyer a year late, but she had alluded to taking a gap year to travel. I know her grandparents, aunts, and uncles lived out of state. I only met them at the wedding, and she had cousins she didn't particularly care for. To be fair, I hadn't shared much about my family. She did question why I didn't invite my mother to our wedding, but not very deeply, sensing correctly that my mother was a topic I didn't want to talk about. But does any of this tie into her murder? I put my head in my hands, the question turning around and round as I feel tears welling up in my eyes. I replay the scene in my head, trying to remember the look in the man's eyes. Through 15 years of time and grief, I try to focus on his eyes and try to remember the look, what was there. Suddenly I know. It was anguish. Had he said something? Had he screamed no? No, I can't remember. It's all so foggy. Then he put down the gun to my head and pulled the trigger. Click, click, click. I don't remember much else after that. I came to, he was gone, and Joan was dead beside me. I pushed the box to the floor and collapsed back on the bed, finally drifting off to sleep. A ringing phone wakes me with a jolt. I grab my cell phone and see it's just after midnight, but that isn't the source of the noise. As the fog lifts, I realize it is the rectory phone. If someone is calling for a priest at that time of morning, that can mean only one thing: someone has died. I lift the receiver and say, "St. Clare's Rectory, Father Greer speaking." "Tom," says a woman with panic in her voice. "It's Chloe." "What's wrong?" I ask. "I don't know," she said. "It's John. He's not home yet. He should have been home hours ago. I've tried calling his cell phone, but it goes straight to voicemail." "Have you called the police?" "He hasn't been missing for more than 24 hours, so they won't do anything. They did tell me no accidents have occurred involving him. I called the hospital and he's not there." She pauses. "He used to do this all the time, but it's been a while. The last few days, though, he's been different. Do you have any idea where he might be?" She sighs. "One, but he promised me he'd never go there again.